I know I promised that this would be like something like a very chill and like for a conversation we just be talking about some different topics and blah 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 in life. But then I realized that I wanted it to be more about you, yourself, than actually having two people going back and forth. My voice is fucked up because I have a cold. I would like you to introduce yourself by using some adjectives or characteristics of yourself that you think that could automatically identify you.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm Camila. I'm 26 years old. I am from Argentina, which is a very important part of myself. I think as an Argentinian person, I do talk a lot. I speak Spanish, so my English is not the best. That's it.
Okay, you say you're Argentinian, so you talk a lot. So you mean that Argentinians, they talk a lot?
I think in general, people who speak Spanish, we tend to talk a lot. We tend to be very loud. I mean, I don't want to say most of us, but I would say most of us. At the same time, I think also a lot of us who have some troubles with speaking English. Like if you travel to Spain or South American countries, you're not going to find maybe so much people who is able to speak English. That's why in advance, I'm already saying that I'm sorry if I make some kind of mistake while I talk.
I think you don't have to apologize about that, because the thing I always say to people is that when I was asking them to do the interviews, they're saying, "Oh no, but my English is not good," blah blah blah. I say, "Yeah, but my English is not good as well." As long as people can understand what you're saying, that's all that matters. I think it's more about the message, because it's not our native language, so we're just doing what we can to communicate with each other. Why do you think that Latinos and they tend to be louder? Why is that?
Oh, that's a good question.
No, because you said like as Argentinian Latina, you think that you are louder. And
Yeah.
why is that?
I feel like we always have a lot to say, and we are not scared of saying things. We're not scared of showing who we are, of, I don't know, introducing our family, introducing our friends. It's about that. Like, we are very transparent people, I think. And the more transparent you are, the more you talk, because you need words to express what you want. So I think it comes a bit from that side. I don't know. It's also part of the culture. We are a lot about dancing and meeting with a lot of people in the crowd. We always like big groups. Of course, I'm speaking in general, but I think it's very much part of the culture to choose like be surrounded by a lot of people. And when you're so surrounded, you have to be loud if you want other people to listen to you, you know? Otherwise, if your tone of voice is too low, people is not going to hear you, and then you're like shy. No. So yeah, if you want to be heard in South America, you have to scream a bit.
So, but if everybody's screaming, how are you gonna listen to each other?
Yeah, we don't.
So you just speak even louder.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's also maybe because of the sun, because in warmer countries, people in general tend to be louder because they're happy and they're outside. Even the way they express themselves through the way they wear clothing. But they don't care too much. They just want to be comfortable because it's super hot. Like you have 30 degrees, 27 degrees is the average for most of the months of the year. So maybe that's one of the reasons why people are more out there, more comfortable, and they wear slippers every day.
Yeah, I did. Like, my feeling was like, while I was growing up, no one gives a shit about fashion. Like, yeah, you just wear like tiny tops, tiny shorts, like, because you are warm. But now I feel like with TikTok and I don't know, the whole globalization, now we are, at least in South America, I think we are starting to care a lot more about fashion, a lot about finding your own style and follow any trend that comes. Of course, I feel we follow trends. We follow the trends that come from Europe. They come from Asia. Also because while here is winter, there is summer. So it's like we're always waiting, you know, when we see what was wore in winter in Europe, then that's what we also going to be wearing the next winter. So we're always a bit late. That's my perspective, related to fashion. Yeah.
But since I met you, I noticed that you are very into fashion. Of course, he got better because it's been like 7 more, 8 more, 9 months. I don't know. It's been a long time now since we met. And your style is always evolving.
Yeah.
What did make you like tap into that? Since, like you said, you don't care too much about how you dress, about the style, but of course you get influenced by social media.
Yeah.
What influenced you, like specifically, to get into that, more into that?
Into fashion in general,
Yeah,
you mean?
fashion in general.
Well, personally, I always followed a lot like Asian trends ever since I was a kid. But yeah, while growing up, the first things I started watching when I was 4 or 5 was anime. So I was always like very interested and close to all the Japanese culture. And then when I turned a teenager, I started listening to K-pop. So I was always very much into Asian trends. Honestly, I never looked much into Europe. I was never like very interested. Like I feel people in South America, we are very, very much, or at least in Argentina, I would say, we're very Eurocentrist. Like we are always looking at Europe. We want to be like them. We admire them so much. But for me, it wasn't so much about Europe. I was more about Asia. And of course, you must know that they are like the top one in fashion and trends, and a lot of trends they start there and then we adapt them here in this side of the world. So it started there. I used to have a very weird style as well, very colorful. There's a street in Japan, it's called Harajuku, where all the small groups, they will start, like, I don't know, like gothic groups, or girls that dress completely like pastel colors. So it's like very, I don't know, it's like full of subcultures regarding to all these ways of dressing. And I used to try to follow each of them, like some months I was going through one side completely black and like dark makeup, and then completely the opposite, all pastel and pink colors and dressing almost, I don't want to say like, but like a kid, like very cute, kawaii. So I was there. And now you see me all dressing black. But yeah, that's how I feel more comfortable now. I just want to look a bit more, I don't know, grown. Like I'm 26, so I try to pursue a more mature style, I think.
What makes you want to pursue a more mature style? What changed?
I think I changed. I'm still a lot into Asian culture, but not as much. I think I don't have the time. It takes time to follow all the trends, to follow all the influencers. So now slowly, as you said, you start getting also influenced a lot by your surroundings. So maybe before I would just be scrolling all day on Tumblr back then, looking at, how these people in Japan is dressing. And I wanted to get as close as them. And nowadays it's more, okay, we live in the Netherlands, so you see on the streets. And I start looking at how Dutch girls are dressing and which pair of shoes are in trending, which pair of earrings are in trending because they love earrings. And maybe the first sight is like, the second, and slowly start convincing you. Of course, I always try to follow what I really like. I'm not just going to wear something because it's a trend, but I'm also kind of very easily influenced.
Mm-hmm. You said, like, you change. What do you think changed the most in you, like from back then, I don't know, 10 years ago and now? Because you said there's a big difference on how you dress and it's also influenced by your surroundings. What do you think like influenced you to this change, and what do you think is the biggest change you had or you have right now from Camila today and Camila, I don't know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago? We go 5 years ago because it's not so far, but also you for sure know there's difference.
Yeah. So 5 years ago?
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
Well, as I said, 5 years ago, I will tell you that I was following all these Asian trends. I was wearing contact lenses, big makeup. And I felt back then that I needed to show who I was with the way I looked. Like, I needed to show, like, you could see me and say, oh, she likes Asian stuff. She's some weirdo with anime, you know? At least it was seen like that 5-6 years ago. I feel now it's more common. You see it everywhere. But before it was like more of a subculture to be so much into Asian stuff. So I feel like back then I used to feel that I needed to show who I was through the way I looked. And while growing up, I realized it's more about the way I behave and say the things I say. And that's how I can show the person I am rather than my clothes or rather than the way I look. Because I realized while growing up that I'm not what I look like. I'm more than that. It's the outside issues. Yeah, I was born like this. What can I do? I don't want to change anything of it. I just want to show people and connect with people with who I am, with my personality, with the way I talk to my friends, the way I talk to my family, and also the way I am there for people, you know.
What do you think affected you impacted you to change your way of thinking? Because I believe that we have turning points episodes, we have pivot moments when something happens and we react to that. We are constantly reacting. So there's these things that happens in our life that makes us sit back and then change something.
Well, then I will jump back 3 years ago, almost 3 years and a half now, since I first came to Europe. Because I moved here just with my friend. We came together all the way from Buenos Aires. We arrived to Amsterdam, and we arrived completely alone. Completely alone. And if I look back then, I was like just two little girls. Like when you are in that, we were 22, and in that age, you cannot tell if you are between, I don't know, 16 and 25. Like you look so young and so lost. And we just arrived, and I remember we stayed in a hostel for a couple of days in Amsterdam. And yeah, the world seems so big and so different and so complicated. Also, my English was not the best back then, so I also had some issues trying to communicate and also trying to show my personality or the way I was. And the first contact with people also was always with other Latin people because, okay, we speak Spanish, we come from kind of the same places, and we all come for the same, like looking for a job, looking for a better life, or just to live the experience. For me, at the beginning, was just to live the experience. My plan was to stay only 1 year in the Netherlands and go back to my country and finish my studies, blah, 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 and build my life there. Yeah, things never go as you plan. So yeah, when we first came here, we were surrounded by people, but at the same time, we were so alone. Like, okay, you have to figure it out, what you're going to do and how. People can be nice and tell you, oh yeah, I will recommend you my job, but that's it. Then you have really to know how to live by yourself. Because yes, I had my friend, but that was it. And I, at least for me, I came from an environment where I was always surrounded by my family and friends helping me on everything. I didn't need to worry that much about things because I would always have a backup. And suddenly all that was gone. So it was like, okay, for me it was like, I need to build a stronger personality. I cannot be this soft anymore. Otherwise, life and people is going to just go over you, you know?
What is one of the things that makes you feel like grateful for the life you have today? Because all of these things that happen, of course, they changed your route or your ideas or your plans. And of course, you have moments where you think, oh, I actually did something better than I expected. Or sometimes you may feel disappointed. But at the end of the day, sometimes I think we feel grateful.
Well, for me, it's about comparison. But I don't compare myself to others. I do compare myself with myself, like to my past self. Because it's not that long ago when I came here, it's 3 years and a half, something like that. And it's funny that I still remember the way I felt and the way I used to think, because it's not that long ago, like these 4 years almost. So what makes me feel grateful is see how much I was able to grow in these years. Like, I feel if I would have stayed in my country, I wouldn't have grown this much. I wouldn't have figured out so much about myself and about others and about how to build relationship with others. I want to give a quick example. When I first came, like I told you, I was surrounded by people, but still alone. And for me, I had a moment where I told myself, I don't want to be, no, I told myself first, I need to be good by myself. I need to be able to enjoy my time alone. I need to be able to, spend my days alone. And I don't want to worry so much about relationships. Of course, friends, they happen to start building, you start building relationships with people. But even I didn't want to go straight away to look for a partner, for example, because I knew I wasn't in my strongest moment. I was like building myself here. I was trying to figure it out, who I was and who I wanted to be here. So I remember I keep telling to myself, like, I didn't want to go into a relationship. I don't want to be like such a strong relations with people, because first I need to be good with myself. So then I can also give my best, and also I can choose who I want to be with, whether it's friends or partner or whatever. But yeah, I think sometimes when you're not in your best moment and you're too quick, sometimes people that is not so nice, they come into your life. They take advantage of that. Maybe not even on purpose, but it can happen. So I always thought, first I need to be like completely me. I need to be stable and be happy with myself and with my life. And then I'm going to be able to open to others. And at this point, I think like after years here, I was able to do that, to stabilize myself and be more open to make friends and whatever it comes.
What role do you think vulnerability? God damn. What role do you think vulnerability has in building like strong relationships? Because you were talking about you were closing yourself. You didn't want to build relationships because first you wanted to take care of yourself. What role do you think vulnerability has in like building relationships? Because then you have to expose yourself and you have to be vulnerable and just let yourself go. So what role do you think vulnerability has in building strong relationships?
Well, as I was saying at the beginning, I feel like from the place I come from, people tends to be very transparent with their like, I'm not ashamed of say the way I feel. If I feel bad, if I feel good, if I feel sad, I don't feel ashamed of it. I think can be also a bit cultural. Like, I'm very open to talk about my feelings and my vulnerable side, but only when I want to do it. So for me, it was in that moment, I choose to not show it. In that moment, I thought I need to be strong here. I need to also kind of course, show your family, show your parents that you're doing well, even if you're not doing so well, maybe, at least here. So yeah, you have to, like fake it till you make it. And then when I was like in a good place, then I was like, okay, now I can show all of me, also my vulnerable side.
What does it mean to be strong?
Oh. Next.
Is there a moment in your life when you felt like you were truly, genuinely happy? And if so, can you take us to that moment?
Oh. Without crying?
No, without crying. You don't need to cry.
Well, I feel happy every day, honestly. I will describe myself as a very positive person. So I'm always looking at the good side of the things. I feel happy every day when I go to sleep and I just hug my boyfriend and it's like, I love the life, and I love the life I built, and I enjoy every minute of it. But if I will say 1 minute, could be a bit contradictory to say. But last year I went back to my country to visit. I was 2 years without seeing anyone because it took me 2 years to be able to go back and visit. And I feel like the moment I arrived to Buenos Aires, like I remember already when the plane was landing, I was just seeing like Buenos Aires in the map and the little plane on top. I had to put on my sunglasses because I just felt, you know, and it was like, I was still in the plane. I wasn't even there yet. But it's just the idea, being able to go back, and I had my family waiting for me at the airport. I remember my mom told me that every time she saw someone coming out of the gates, she started crying. It wasn't even me. So when I arrived, she didn't cry anymore because she was crying for like 2 hours, waiting for me. So when she finally saw me, she was dry. And I think it's those like moments in life when it makes you look back. Like everything happens in 1 second in your mind, like all those 2 years away, everything that happened, the person that left and the person that came back, it was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think it's been only 2 years. It's like nothing, but at the same, for me, was so much. And when I was able to go back to my country, even if it was only to visit, I realized how lucky I am because I have the opportunity to go, and I have the opportunity to go and visit and still come back to the Netherlands, where I want to live my life now.
This reminds me also of my visits, the first times I was traveling outside of Portugal, and then I was coming back. It was like just months, but the moment I enter the plane and I hear people speaking Portuguese with their accent, and I feel like the culture of the people there, like the way they speak, the way they talk, they're very loud, screaming, talking, "Hey, I'm on the plane, blah, 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 look," and they're making like video calls. And then I was arriving, and I don't feel like Portugal is my country, but it is because I lived 20 years there. Not 20, 18.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, just stepping foot there, I felt like I was home. And the feeling of being home, it's so different. And then you start thinking and reminiscing about all of the experiences, all of the people who impacted your life and the experiences you had with them, and they shaped the person you are now. They didn't shape it, but they kind of helped you build your mentality and who you are today. You definitely had people in your life like this. Like, how did these people impact your life?
It's a bit hard to think about. For me, it's a bit hard to think about one or two people. Like, of course, I will go for the obvious, like my parents, my grandparents. They build the person I am. They gave me all the tools, and then I choose what to use and what I wanted to change. But there's one person that maybe is not that obvious. It's my grandmother. I choose all my life. I felt like I was a bit different than the rest of my family. I'm the only one who left the country. I was always a bit different. And the only person who I really could feel that, okay, I'm not that different, I'm still part of this family, was with my grandmother. At some point, I think I even looked at her as if she was my mom. So the relationship I had with her, like I could really talk about anything. And, sometimes grandma can be a bit old school for some things that you don't want to talk about sex but with her, everything, I could say everything. And she will be always on my side. Also, looking at her and looking at the life she built, all the big family she made, even being like a bit weird or like how you call it, like the black sheep of the family, and seeing how much she achieved and being just the way she is, I think it gave me the courage to also be myself, because you also need those examples like of people who is older than you and they did good in life.
Now you talk through all the interview, you talked a lot about the family. So I can see that you're a family person. That even though being, I don't know how many thousand kilometers away, you still miss them a lot. So this question is kind of obvious, but I don't know, maybe it's not. What's the one thing that you think it's missing right now in your life? And what can you do to fix it?
Oh, that's another hard question. Well, definitely the distance with my family. If I could choose, I will go to visit every year. But yeah, the prices of the flights are very expensive, and also it's 15 hours at least from Amsterdam to Buenos Aires if you go direct. So if I go all the way there, I also need to stay 3 weeks minimum, maybe 4. So what I'm missing right now is time. Have more time to go and visit, because okay, the money I can save it. I can like stop spending money on this thing and pay for a flight, but the time. And it's funny because I do consider myself young, but might be something from my generation, but I feel I'm always lacking out of time. It's never enough.
Because in order to have money, you need to spend your time.
Yes.
And when you have the time, you don't have the money.
Yeah. You have to choose.
But what makes you feel like you're always out of time?
Well, I guess I'm not using my time in the most smart way. I do try to follow track on what I'm spending my time with. One of the things is my phone. Of course, I spend way too much time on social media. I try to track it. Every week I try to see, okay, how many hours I spend this week, and try to low it down. And for some weeks it works, and suddenly I'm very productive. And then it's like I fall again. I keep deleting TikTok, for example. I delete it for 1 week, and then I'm desperate and I install it again.
I think, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like if you keep keeping track of time, then you're not enjoying it. Then what's the purpose?
Well, for me, if I'm a bit way too organized, so I need to track the time in order to enjoy it. You know, like yeah, I'm a punctual person. I put timers for everything. I need to, and I enjoy it in that way. For me, it works. I'm a to-do list person, you know. It's okay. It's like, okay, it's Monday. I need to do this, 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 and I have to mark those things as done, and that gives me satisfaction. You know.
Why do we put so many strains on it? Why do we put so many labels, so many rules on all of the things if we can just enjoy? That's why I was asking you, like, if we have so much time, why don't we just enjoy it instead of keeping track of everything that we're doing? Because that way we're kind of controlling it. It's like putting a leash on something that can be free. Yeah, that's my opinion.
No, I get it. But like, choose a quick example. If I'm in a party, I know I'm going to party all night. I like looking at the clock to see, I still have this many hours to party. I do that. I like it. Maybe I'm a bit of controller, but I love it. If I'm having so much fun and I look at the phone, it's only 1. And in my country, we party until 7. Then I'm like, damn.
And what makes you, when do you think this started happening? This control over your time, over whatever you're doing, like keeping track of everything?
I think when I started university, because it was very easy for me to go through high school. So I remember to have very good grades, even though I didn't have to work that hard. It was just, okay, do your homework, read, and that's it. So when I started university, I feel like I kicked my head against the wall, because suddenly the way I was doing things, it stopped working for me. Like suddenly I realized, okay, I really need to sit my ass and study. I really need to work hard if I want to get what I want. Before that, I think like everything I wanted will come very easy to me, or just like doing the minimum or the medium. But once I started university, it was very hard because I realized doing the minimum, it wasn't enough. to be able to be good at it. So I remember I would track everything. Like, okay, if I have to read these 20 different texts and I have 1 month, okay, I will say, okay, this day I have to read this day this. And I would like even tell myself like, okay, I'm not allowed to look at my phone for 1 hour, and I just put it under the drawer and study. And that's like how slowly I built on myself to be more strict. And I guess since then I started managing my life like that. Like, I have this certain goal. Okay, how do I get there? I don't know, if I want to have my house clean, okay, how do I get there? Okay, I know the weekend I have plans, so I cannot clean on the weekend. So on Monday I start with the bathroom, Tuesday with the kitchen, Wednesday the room, and like that. Like, I try to structure all my life to get to a goal. And I think it started at university.
And how do you prioritize self-care and self-love in your daily life? Because since you have such a structured life, how do you structure this side? How do you prioritize this?
Wow, but if you track your time, you have time left for self-care and love. Now, I do think I prioritize a lot giving like quality time to myself and also with my partner.
So that brings you joy and happiness. Again, how do you define happiness?
Again, next.
Next, okay.
Now, I can answer, but do we have time? You don't need to start.
No, we have time. We have time. No, I can
You
skip
see,
this.
I'm checking the time.
We can skip.
We have time.
No, we can skip this one. It's okay.
That's so hard. Some questions are a bit hard.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Why are the questions hard? Why are questions hard?
I know, because you ask things that I'm not expecting.
What is actually a hard question?
Well, when it comes to one, it's about like talking about a structured life. Because for me, if we speak about structure, it's like, okay, if you are such a structured person, you got everything you want. You got to all your goals because you know how to, And I wouldn't say that about myself. And then I will say like the questions about what is happiness, what was the other one that I said next? What makes you strong? What is to be strong? That's also a very hard question because these things for me are very I can change depending on the person.
Personal, okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in my opinion, there is no right or wrong answer to these things. And also, you're giving an answer to a question, and you don't have to assume that the other person is going to judge you by what you're saying. Because, of course, if someone asks me, what's a perfect day for you? Perfect day for me would be playing basketball, swimming. I'm a terrible swimmer, but I love swimming.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I say this, of course, I'm not expecting people that knows that I'm not such a good swimmer to think, oh, no, this guy is crazy because he's not a good swimmer.
I also asked to myself, like, I have a lot of weekends, maybe I'm alone, my boyfriend is not home. And I ask myself, okay, I have the time, I have the money, I have everything. What do I want to do? What do you want to do? Like, what's your perfect day? And sometimes it's very clear what will make me happy right now or what will make me happy today. And sometimes it's just, I don't know, it's just so confused. It's just, but I guess it's part of life.
What have you done then? What have you accomplished that you're proud of and maybe people don't know about it?
I have this one thing. I've been trying to learn Dutch. After my first year here, I decided that I wanted to live in the Netherlands. So I've been trying to learn Dutch. But I was always busy. Well, that's the excuse I can put to myself, going from one job to another, moving from one city to the other. So I started twice different Dutch courses. First was one online with a university, and the second one was an online course from an individual teacher. Both times I struggled it. I just couldn't follow. I tried, but it was, I don't know, the feeling wasn't there. or at least I didn't have the will to keep going. And now it's my third time trying to learn Dutch, and I think this is gonna be the definitive one. Like, this is a good one. Like, I've been going nonstop for months. I love my teacher. I'm enjoying my classes. I'm studying a couple of times a week, but I'm enjoying the process, and that's very hard sometimes to reach. But I kept trying because I knew I wanted to learn Dutch. One thing didn't work. The second didn't work again. And then when the second time you try, it doesn't work, you start telling yourself, well, maybe this is not for me. But then one day in a WhatsApp group, they said, oh, I have this teacher. She's very good with me. If someone wants to contact her, this is the number. And I thought, why not? And I was like, it's just a last try. And suddenly I'm so surprised. I enjoy so much the classes, and I find myself waiting every week to learn more. And that's what I needed. I needed to enjoy the process because I know it's going to take time until I get to the point where I can speak Dutch or understand it very fluently. So I think for me, I really need to enjoy the process. Otherwise, I'm going to just drop it. Because I consider a lot my happiness. I consider a lot having a good time while I do things, whether if it's work, whether it's with my partner. I need to be having a good time. If not for me.
Mm-hmm. We talked a lot about the past and now the present and things that changed. What would you give as advice for the Camila of 10 years ago, knowing what you know today about yourself?
I really think about that. I need a minute. Can you repeat me the question? That helps me. 10 years ago, I was 16. So if you think about the 16-year-old girl, I think when you're 16 and you're a girl, everything is the end of the world. Like, if this guy doesn't text me back, it's the end of the world. If I don't have a good grade at school, it's the end of the world. If my friends, they don't invite me to do something, or my friends should choose someone else to go to the cinema, it's the end of the world. I think we put too much weight on everything everyone else is doing, and we feel like every day is towards us. And it's not like that. Like, it's very hard to put down your ego, and that's going to take a lifetime, I think, and realize that what people does around you is not about you, it's about themselves. And even if they do something direct to you, that's who they are and not who you are. The advice was to not take things so personal. Whatever people does in their lives or whatever they do to you, that's not you. And you get to choose what you want to do with that, how you want to react. And sometimes you can even choose how you want to feel about it. So, yeah, to control your ego and remind yourself you're not the center of the world. And what really counts is what you do.
I'm going to have another person next week. I would like to ask you to just leave like some words to this person. It's like a message. Do you think it could be helpful for anybody?
Okay. So for the next person, blue skies are coming. I would say to keep track of your goals, write them down. I think everything works better if you track it. But also remind yourself to give your time to enjoy life and be happy.
Thank you, Camila. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this interview. It was very nice, and it gave us a different perspective. Well, it gave me a different perspective of you because I already know you a little bit, just a little bit. You told me a lot about your story.
Of me.
But yeah, I'm very happy that you accepted this challenge. It's not easy to open up for strangers and people, and you know that maybe your family is going to see this and your close ones. So it takes a lot of courage. So thank you for coming, and blue skies are coming for you.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice. No, I live